These are the news headlines for the 5th of January 2026. Stories in and around the UK. The Prime Minister has insisted that he will still be Prime Minister this time next year. In an interview with the BBC's Laura Kuenssberg, the Labour leader dismissed any speculation that he could be gone this time next year. And the Independent newspaper is carrying a story where the Prime Minister warns his opponents in the government not to move against him, saying that would gift Nigel Farage the next general election. The Guardian is carrying a headline that migrants and Roma living in Ballymena in Northern Ireland are living in fear. And it states that when a mob stormed the neighbourhood in Ballymena last summer to expel families from their homes, there were shouts, "Where are the foreigners?" And 6 months later, several houses are still scorched, empty shells, and the people there are living in great fear. A health worker from Africa who declined to share his name or nationality, another resident from the Czech Republic, they've been saying that they only go out when necessary and that there's men with masks driving up and down and that it's an incredibly bleak place to be. And that's a headline from The Guardian about Northern Ireland. The Metro newspaper is carrying a story that lecturers at 4 universities in Scotland are voting on possible strike action in separate disputes over proposed budgets and job cuts. The University and College Union at Aberdeen, Stirling, Heriot-Watt and Strathclyde universities are being asked whether they support a walkout. The Daily Record newspaper is carrying the headline of someone who's waited more than 400 days for investigations to begin regarding prostate cancer. It says here an NHS patient with suspected prostate cancer waited more than 400 days for investigations to begin. Another Scot was kept hanging on for almost a year with possible bowel cancer, shock figures obtained by the Labour Party reveal. Under treatment standards, 95% of patients should wait no more than 62 days from urgent suspicion of cancer referral until the first cancer treatment. The Daily Express, their front page, says anger as Prime Minister looks at multiple ways to bring Britain closer to the EU, and there's fears that Starmer is plotting a full-blown Brexit betrayal. And it says here, this is from the headline, the Daily Express, front page, Irish edition, Sir Keir Starmer has been accused of betraying Brexit by edging closer to the EU single market. And that's, again, after he gave a big speech in an interview with Laura Kuenssberg on the BBC yesterday, where he stated that he would like Britain to be closer to the EU, but without free movement of Europeans. And he went on to say how there is currently, or there's plans to have some movement for young people, but not for all. The newspaper has a similar headline that Keir Starmer is gearing towards a softer Brexit. Keir Starmer says the UK should move even closer to the EU's single market. In his starkest sign yet, he is ready to seek a softer Brexit deal with Brussels. And leadership rivals, that's those who want to replace him, are ready to push for a much closer alignment with the EU ahead of any possible challenges which may come up in the May local elections. The next general election isn't until 2029. However, if the government's Labour Party, the one who's still in power, does very badly in the May elections, that's generally a sign that the government is becoming a bit unstable, or at the very least unpopular. It looks like Reform will be moving in to take many seats, so everyone's waiting to see what happens, and at that time the current government, or at least the leadership of it, may well be in grave danger. These elections are generally seen as a forecast of how our government is performing. And in sport, the Daily Record, that's the Scottish national newspaper, says that at Celtic Football Club, it's the worst it's ever been. Luke McCowan insists he understands fans' anger because it's never been this bad at Celtic. There were huge protests outside Parkhead following Saturday's match, with the board in the firing line and calls for the boss, Wilfried Nancy, to be fired. And the story goes on to say just how bad it is at Celtic right now. So that's one of the main stories being carried in the Daily Record. And the weather for across the UK, there's warnings of temperatures as low as minus 15 degrees Celsius in some areas. It says a 1,000-mile wide polar express freeze will send temperatures plunging as low as minus 15 Celsius, colder than the Arctic. The RAC is braced for a blitz of breakdowns. The RAC is one of our breakdown services, similar to the AA. It says here it's braced, getting ready for a blitz of breakdowns today, with up to 8,000 call-outs expected as cars struggle to start after being left idle over the festive period. Some 2,000 gritters, that's those machines that carry little bits of stone that they put down on the snow, we call that grit. The distributor vehicle was called a gritter. Some 2,000 gritters de-icing trains. Oh yeah, that's those trains with the which they go up and down the track, don't they, to clear them for the services. De-icing trains and airport snowplows are on standby to tackle the travel mayhem. Up to 4 inches of the white stuff could fall from Wednesday to Sunday. And if you are travelling to or from the UK today, you should definitely check your transport service, especially if you're in the north. Heavy snowfall over recent days has resulted in more than 40 centimetres reported in the extreme north of the country. Network Rail is reporting issues between some Scottish cities, and also some Scottish regional airlines have been cancelling flights. Hundreds of schools in Northern Ireland are going to be closed today, and the return of pupils to school has also been delayed in a large part of Scotland. It says here, clear skies and Sunday night brought plunging temperatures in England and Wales as well, with temperatures as low as -10 and -9 in Wales. It says here, prolonged cold spells could lead to a rise in death. And in Plymouth, that's one of our cities which is more southerly in the southwest. It says 4 city centre churches have opened their doors to the homeless due to the drop in temperatures. Will offer hot drinks, clean bedding and specialist support. It's a pity they can't do that at other times of the year. It says here there's difficulty pinpointing the exact temperatures or where snow is likely to fall next. But it says towards the end of the week a greater temperature is expected as weather changes. So do be careful if you are going out and about. The BBC is also offering a page how to look after dogs, cats and other pets in cold weather. And there we are. That's the news headlines for today. Thank you and goodbye.